Hi there, Chevy owners. Today in your 2022 Chevrolet Express van, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install Redarc's Tow-Pro Liberty Trailer Brake Controller with included installation harness. And this is what our Tow-Pro Liberty looks like when it's installed. You can see our knob here is installed in the dash, and that's the only real footprint that you're going to see of this thing. Unlike traditional brake controllers that hang down here on bottom, big old thing that you're potentially hitting your leg on every time you get in and out of the vehicle, difficult to access and see because it's so low. This is going to be much easier to see. It's got a nice bright LED there. It's in a nice, easy to reach location near the rest of your knobs. And with this setup, you can really choose where you want to install it. As long as you've got enough distance behind whatever part of the dash you want to install it in, you can put it there. The main unit, the larger portion of it, can be installed anywhere. We can hide that under the dash at any point and secure it up. Ours is located here behind this paneling, but you don't need to see that or access it ever because your full interface is through the knob here. With the Tow-Pro Liberty, it'll work with trailers up to 2 axles, with 0 being no output, up to 10 being our maximum output. And you can see there that red is going to be our feedback for the most output possible, and as you rotate it down, blue will be no output, and anywhere in between we got a purple there. It's kind of about halfway, so that's how you get your feedback for how much output you've got. Some of the more traditional controllers give you like a number sometimes, but this is going to be all through LED. I was pressing the button down there to make it activate. This is your manual slide for a Redarc. You don't get the full motion of the slide where you can kind of vary it with the Redarc. It just kind of comes on, but you do have the option of choosing how much output you get based on the number. So if I press it in here with it on 10, it's all the way red. If we go down to, we'll go to about halfway at about 5 there, and you can see it's kind of a pink color. Let's go down to about 3, and you see it's kind of a purple color there, and then blue is no output. So when you're all the way at 0, it does nothing. So if you want to turn it off, you just simply turn it all the way to 0. Now, this button that we have it mounted in here didn't come included with the kit. You normally would just install it into the dash, but we do sell these knockouts if you're wanting something that's going to integrate into your dash and look a little bit nicer and give you a good mounting location. Because one of the things that does matter for your button when you're mounting it is the thickness of the paneling. If the paneling is too thick, you won't be able to press the button and activate the manual slide. If it's even thicker than that, you may not even be able to get the nut to install at all. So this will ensure that we've got a proper depth for installation and wherever we're wanting to mount it using this little button mount here. This is universal, so you can purchase this and use it with either the Tow-Pro Liberty or the Tow-Pro Elite kit. So it's nice that it works with both, and it's something you might consider upgrading down the road. Since this one only works with 2 axles, if you get a bigger trailer down the road, you can upgrade to the Tow-Pro Elite, which works with 3 axles. And the Tow-Pro Elite also has the user control mode, so if you like to do off-roading, proportional is not usually the best type of brake controller for a slippery, muddy off-road scenario. You would want something more closely that operates similar to a time delay setup, and the user control does operate somewhat similar to a time delay, so that way you can guarantee your trailer brakes will activate even if you're sliding in your vehicle in the mud. So now we've covered some of the features of our Redarc here, why don't you follow along with us and we'll show you how to get it installed. Now before we begin our installation, the first thing you're going to want to do is determine if you have factory wiring or not. If you have a factory 7-way at the back of your vehicle, there's a good chance that you do. And if you do, you would find it right here under the carpet. Just peel this piece back right here, and your wiring is actually just going to be taped here to this harness. Just rip that off of there, and that's where you'll find your wiring. And all the wiring is going to be labeled here on the sticker. It's a little hard to see, but it is going to be labeled there. Now, if you do not have this wiring over here, or a 7-way at the back, you probably won't have that either, but if you don't have the wiring, then you'll need to use kit ETBC7 to make your installation. Since we've got the wiring, we're going to be wiring it directly to this. If you have no existing 4-way, you would also want to add a custom fit vehicle wiring harness to get all your lighting signals to work on that 7-way. Next, we're going to remove this panel out of the way so we can more easily get in there and install our components. So we're going to grab a 10mm socket and remove 2 bolts that holds this paneling on. There's one right down here, and there's one in a pretty similar location over here on the opposite side. After we've got both of those removed, we can go ahead and pull off our paneling here. It does just kind of pull off. Just work your way down try to pull near your connector, so like it starts to flex, move your hand closer to the point where it's stuck, and just get those popped out of there, and then we'll set this off to the side. So that's going to expose a whole lot of room to make our installation a lot easier. We're going to mount our module right here, just to this mounting location here. There's a module that's already mounted there. We're going to just use cable ties to attach it. You don't get any in your kit, so you will have to provide your own cable ties, but we do sell those here at eTrailer, so you can get some to use here. So I'm going to pull the wiring down. The factory, or not the factory, but the Takancha wiring that was previously installed was located there, so we're just moving that kind of out of the way right now. So we're just setting that off to the side. Now we're going to mount our module up here. We're going to use some cable ties, and in the area that we exposed here behind our paneling, there's this module that's located here. This is a nice little bracket. You can kind of push and pull outward on it a little bit to slide your cable ties up through there. We're going to use 2 of them. We're going to get one there, and then on the other side of this center piece, we're going to slide another one. Same thing, you have to kind of push and pull a little bit to get it to slide through there. Once we've gotten it through there, we can now take our module, slide our cable ties through it, and secure it in this location here. Get this one started, then we'll get our next one started. All right, so once we got both of those started, now we're just gonna cinch it on down. All right, once we've got that pulled tight, we are going to put one more cable tie on it just because it has a little more movement than I would like. It would probably be fine like that, but just to be on the safe side, we're going to run another cable tie through here. May look a little nicer if you run the cable tie through the back first. And then we're just going to go on the bottom side again through, and that way we're going to kind of secure it to this piece here to help just further support it. After we've got that through there, we'll just run our cable tie through. And secure it in place there. And now we've got a very secure module, so we're just going to trim back our cable ties now. And next we're going to install our button. We do have a small mounting ring that it comes with that you can use for mounting it into your paneling. But we do also offer these buttons that you can buy, these button mounts that are knockout mounts. And we're going to be using one of those on here. It'll give us just a better integration into our dash here, and it'll just look more natural. It is a part that does come separately. It doesn't come with your Liberty, but we'll show you how to get that installed. If you didn't want to go with a route that we're going to use with the mounting button, you could drill a 25/64 hole for your button, and then an 1/8 inch hole for the small LED and mount it up that way. So we're just going to take and drill out a hole now. Now the hole size that you would want to drill for this is a 1 inch. You could probably get away with a 5/16 hole and then maybe just a small file to clean up some of the small spots where there's kind of a little alignment spots. And we're probably going to need to use a little file as well, but we're going to be using a 1 inch hole saw to drill out right there. So now we're just getting centered between our holes here. That looks pretty good. And we'll drill it out. Now if you're using a hole saw, after I get up like this, I'll actually switch it to reverse. Since the plastic paneling, the blades will still cut in reverse really easily through this stuff, and it actually cuts a little bit cleaner on plastic. If you're cutting through anything else besides plastic, you wouldn't want to do this, but with plastic, and it just gives you a little bit of a cleaner hole there. Not a huge difference, and we're just gonna pull our bit off since we passed all the way through. We'll just slide it on out of there. We are still probably gonna take a razor knife to clean it up, but just helps to keep it from tearing as much as it can go in the other direction. So now we've got our hole cut. When we do our test fit in there, it slides in pretty nice, but down at the bottom we are hitting, so it's got those little alignment kind of grooves on it, and you can see that at the bottom where it juts out just a little bit. So we're going to take our file now and just file that out. And you shouldn't need a whole lot of filing. It's plastic, so it should go pretty quick. So after you file a little bit, do a test fit. It looks like there is also a small notch at the top that we're likely going to have to do too. Ooh, but that is a pretty good fit in there right there. I think we're probably good right there. That looks nice and flush. Maybe there's a small notch at the top. It does like I might need to put just a little tiny V groove there. So we'll grab our tool here and put just a little V groove up at the top. Check our fit. Oh, and that feels very good. It doesn't rotate or anything now. It is snapped in very nice flush finish look. And that's exactly what we're looking for right there. And that'll give us a really easy way to mount up our button. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the wiring just because it's gonna be more difficult to reach the button back there after we mount it. We're gonna use the 90-degree side on the dash side over here and the straight side down at our module. You can see that your cable does have two different ones. And it's nice that they've done that because sometimes you want the straight one on this side and the curved one on the other side. It just gives you some different options of being able to mount this in the location that you want to. So we're just going to plug this in the back. It's just like an Ethernet style cable. And we can then reach around the panel. We're going to line up the LED there with the hole at the top. And don't push very hard with these. You can actually push this thing apart fairly easily. So once we get it lined up in there, we're just taking our nut now and threading it into place. And it's still just a hair loose, so we are going to switch to a socket. But it is possible to strip these out, so don't go too tight. We're just going to use the socket in our hand, snug it up there, and then we're going to call it good right there. We've got rid of the movement of our button. It's nice and secure. Now, since we're using this mounting, since we're using the knockout for our mount here, we're not going to use the small gray collar here, this little thing. This would go behind the nut if you were going to use it, but when you're using these, you don't use that. That'll be too thick and it'll prevent your button from pressing properly. We can now install the button on here. First, we're going to push it up there, just barely touching it, and turn it all the way counterclockwise. Now we can put the 0 at the top, slide our button into place, and then just verify that it clicks. So that all looks good there. We can click it. Everything is working like it needs to. So now we'll head down to our module and we can plug in the other end of our cable. We'll now take the Ethernet end here, the straight end. We're going to bring it down to our module, line it up, and then just push it into place. And you want the release button to face towards the Redarc logo here on the front of the module. We can then use cable ties to secure the rest of this wiring up behind our dash. All right, with the rest of our module and stuff installed, we can go ahead and take care of our wiring here to our module. So we're going to take that factory wiring that we found, and there's going to be electrical tape on the end. You can peel it off or just cut them. I'm just going to cut them because we have plenty of wire length here, so we can just trim most of that off. Now you do want to be careful here. These wires are going to be live. At least the red wire with the white stripe, that is your battery circuit. So that one is live. Keep that guy away from the black wire. You can see it's a little bit longer. You want to keep that distance away because that's ground. If those two touch, you're going to have a short. So we're going to just kind of stretch those out there, strip them back. I'm going to start with the power wire so we can get that one connected right away. So go ahead and strip it back. And then we're going to crimp on a butt connector. Now, butt connectors don't come included in your kit, but you can get some here at eTrailer. So we're going to crimp it onto our power wire there, and that'll help protect it right away so it won't be an exposed circuit anymore. We'll go ahead and start hooking it up to our 4-way harness here, though. The harness here, this comes with your Tow-Pro Elite. Your black is going to be your battery wire, and they're actually all labeled if you look at them. It says battery on it. Blue is brake output, white is ground, it says battery negative, which is ground, and then red is your brake input signal. So for your stoplight switch, your brake lights, that's going to be the red one. And again, they're all labeled right on there. So we know that the red with the white stripe over here is the power wire because it says so right here on the sticker. A little hard to read, but it does say it on there. On the other side, it's even worse. So now we'll take our power circuit here, connect it to the power wire. There's a nice positive little sticker on there too to further help ensure you identify the correct wire. We'll crimp that on there. Now we're gonna strip back the rest. So the black wire here, this is our ground circuit. So we're gonna strip this one back. And this is an extremely small wire, so you may need a razor blade or something else to strip it. Our strippers aren't gonna take care of it. What I was doing there was just using my cutters, and I was barely squeezing and pulling out to be able to do that. And we're gonna crimp this on here. With these smaller wires in your butt connector, you do wanna be careful not to crimp the butt connector over the sheathing of the wire. It actually needs to be on the exposed part that you just stripped. So just double check when you're crimping it, making sure you get the proper depth. If you don't, your system won't work. It just won't even power up at all. You gotta have power and ground. Our white wires are ground wire, so we're gonna slide that in the other side, crimp it down. The blue wire here, the darker blue wire, is the brake output wire. That's going back to the 7-way. So we'll strip that back, connect there. This is going to connect to the blue wire from the harness that comes with your Redarc brake controller. All right, and then lastly, the small blue wire here with the white stripe is the brake output wire. That will connect to our red wire here. And now we'll grab our last circuit, which is the red one here. Slide that in there. And then crimp it down. Now we got all of our wires hooked up. We just need to bring our connector over here to our module and plug it in. We want the release tab here to face away from our Redarc logo. And then we can just use cable ties to secure this up out of the way. So now that we've got everything hooked up and plugged in, it should be operational at this point. If we look back over at the button, you can see nothing's happening there, but if you press down the button, it should give you a little breathing blue pulse. And there it is, it breathes and it goes dead. So that shows us that it's got power now. Everything's looking good there. In order to get more feedback from our module to know if it's working, we do need to plug in a trailer now. So I'm gonna plug in my trailer tester so that way we can get this all the way up and running. So now that we've got our trailer tester, this is a simulator plugged in, you can see that we've got feedback on our knob now. It's flashing from green with a slight pulse of blue, and that is indicating that the module is up and running, but it needs to learn its position. It needs to be calibrated. And to calibrate it, you simply just need to drive the vehicle in a straight line and apply the brakes. You got to do that several times, and it'll learn its position from that. Now, it will still be able to give us an output, so I'm going to turn it all the way up to 10, and I'm going to press the button, and you should see it on our tester here that it's sending output. And there it is, it's sending output to our tester, so that's all working. It just needs to be calibrated now for the proportional system to work the way that it needs to. Now the flashing that we've got here will only occur if you have a trailer plugged in. Our simulator here makes it think it's got a trailer plugged in. So that's why we're getting this flash. Regardless if you have a trailer plugged in or not, it will still calibrate when you drive the vehicle. But if you do not have a trailer plugged in or a simulator like this, you won't get this flashing feedback to know once the calibration is complete. The feedback will start as majority green with a small blue on time, and as it gets programmed, it will reduce the green on time and get a longer blue on time until eventually it goes solid blue, indicating that it knows its position and is fully calibrated. So at this point, it looks like everything's working properly. We're gonna reinstall our paneling in reverse order of how we removed it, as well as secure any loose wiring that we've got down there with cable ties. So we've got our paneling reinstalled, just reverse order of how we removed it, cable tied up any of our wiring. We're now outside so we can drive this to get it calibrated. So we just wanna drive in a straight line, try to find maybe a subdivision or a parking lot where you can do this in. And we're just gonna get up to maybe about 10, 15 miles an hour, hit the brake. And that's gonna help it learn its position. And you can just drive around normal and it will eventually learn it, but it needs kind of a straight path stop. So normal driving will probably make it take longer for it to calibrate. But in most instances, you get it to calibrate in about 20 brake presses. So we're about 3 presses in now. We'll just stop real quick to see our progress. Looks like we're about 50% of the way there. The green on time and blue on time are now about equal instead of it being a majority green. Let's see where we're at now. And we're very close. It's mostly blue with a little green, so we need 1 or 2 more times here. And looks like that 9th time there did it for us. We now have a solid blue, which means we are fully programmed. So it knows its position now, so everything will work. I did have it set to 0 during that. It doesn't matter what you've got it set at. 0 is just what I preferred. That way it wouldn't activate. But now once it's calibrated, it knows its position and it's going to work in a normal proportional mode because it can now detect that movement. It knows what direction it's expecting to see that in. So at this point, we are all complete. We're ready to hook up our trailer and hit the road. And that completes our installation of Redarc's Tow-Pro Liberty Trailer Brake Controller with included installation harness on our 2022 Chevrolet Express van.